Welcome, everybody. Happy holidays. Just got done with Thanksgiving and took a little break. I haven't podcasted for a couple weeks, but we're back. And we want to talk about the weightiness of the words that you use, particularly the vocabulary you use with your stepkids and with your spouse in your home, and how that dramatically shapes the culture and the trajectory of how you're unifying as a blended family. It is not a small. It is not an overstatement to say it is impossible to unify your family if you are using the wrong words. Because those words are falling on the ears of your kids, and they are interpreting reality and how you feel about them and how you feel about your blended family by the subtleties of the words you use. Right? And those words are impactful. And so we want to get into that because a lot of people inadvertently continue for months and months and years to use words that separate instead of unify. And then they're like, I don't understand why we're not blending. And there's this culture of division in their home, and there's these invisible lines in their home, and they're like, I don't get it. What's going on? And then you listen to them and you realize, well, you're speaking it into existence.
Right. And I think just to remind us all again that our goal is to always be uniting in the home. Every single day. And if you have to remind yourself every day that my goal is to unite our family, to bring our family together. Write a sticky note if you need to. Write it on your mirror. Put it in your car. That is a good and great reminder to have for yourself and for your home. And if you do that, you are going to see the fruit of that in your home and in your family.
And it's going to come out in your words. Right? It's going to come out in your words. So we have, we want to use words that draw your family together. We want to be in a posture of, last week we talked about, or the last podcast, we talked about owning the kids God's given you. This is really a subset or a subcategory of owning the kids. So we talked about theologically and relationally and just philosophically taking ownership of the kids in your home. Well, great. If you've mentally decided that these kids are yours and that God has put them under your roof, then the next step is to use language that verifies and affirms the fact that they are your children. Right? And so we really at its core, a lot of it are like possessive words versus like dividing words. And that is, you've been married, you're a blended family, you both have kids, and words like, hey babe, your kid, hey, your kid needs picked up from school. Or even first name, first name stuff like, hey, Johnny needs to be picked up from school, babe. And it's just, there's not that possessive, like, hey, our kid, we, ours, things like that. Well, and they're using dividing words.
And I know how, that just sounds to my ears, if you're referring to your kid or, hey, Johnny needs to be picked up, as even the parent, of the biological kid, I know how that makes me feel inside. So imagine how that makes, your step kid feel like second class, maybe. Just, so I don't know. It's just something like you're sitting here saying that, and I'm like, man, I know how I would feel. And kids are not always they're not going to express that. They don't know how to express that. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in because, man, that almost just breaks my heart thinking about that. So vocabulary matters.
I mean, and again, I mean, we totally understand, like this can be very subtle and people can be, they can be unaware that they're using that kind of vocabulary. And dare I say even like language, but also like communication, but also nonverbal communication. Kind of going out on a limb. We haven't really even talked about that, but that's kind of like just how you even physically express yourself around the kids. Is your body language like kind of withdrawn? Do you go up and like, hey buddy, you got your arm around them and things like,
stand right next to them
like even body language of possession and of ownership of that child. But primarily today we're going to talk about words that you can use to unify your family. And We were talking about this before the cameras went on, but there's a really good example that we get really from Christ, and some of the ways that we of all people, none of us deserve to be in God's family.
Yeah.
We do not deserve to be considered a brother of Christ.
Yeah.
We don't deserve to be a son of God, but yet, even in his perfection, Christ treats us as family. I mean, the family of God.
Yeah.
In Matthew 12, 49 and 50, he says, whoever does the will of my Father is my brother and sister. And it's like, but this is God. He spoke the universe into existence,
Yes.
And he says, you can be my brother and sister. And so he's using language. He doesn't use language that pushes us away or makes us feel second class. He doesn't use language that denigrates us down a few levels and says, hey, you make sure you stay down there.
Yeah.
You're not, I'm not going to call you brother and sister. I want you to know your place.
Yeah.
And using language, he uses this inclusive language that draws us up and brings relationship by the words he's speaking. You're like, I can be a brother with Christ.
Yeah.
And so think about that in your home.
Yeah. No, that's really good. You took the point right out of my mouth, because I was going to say that. I mean, Christ uses that inclusive language with us, and so it is like you're saying, it's mind blowing. And think about that, ponder on that. Christ uses those words with us, and think about how that makes us feel. The draw to him, to come to his word, to come to prayer, and all of those things.
It makes us want relationship with him.
Yes. So imagine how your kids are going to feel if you start looking at that example of the perfect example that God gives us, and we implement that. You're going to get results. Right. You're going to get results. And so that's kind of just really exciting. That's amazing, actually.
Right. And if you are a noble woman or a respectful man, and they look to you and they are, they respect you. In fact, they even admire you.
Yeah.
If that's how you're living your life, and then you start using language of inclusivity and possession, that you're pulling them towards you, they're going to be like, wow. He's talking about me like I'm his son.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in their little brain.
Yes, that just brings tears to my eyes, because that's the goal. And it's you're not going to replace their biological parent, but you're also their parent.
Yeah.
God has placed you in their life, and they are part of your family, not by chance or accident.
Yeah.
That's because God has ordained that. So I just think that, to me, is just so sweet to sit there and think about that. Yeah. And to just think about your kids just
feeling accepted.
Maybe one day calling you mom or dad, or, and the family unity is just so seamless that the outsiders looking in, they don't know that you're not a nuclear family. And that's amazing.
Yeah. That's, you're hitting on all cylinders when that's happening. I mean, that's, and not to go to the negative, but so the opposite is true. You can be making progress, and your family is uniting. And this is how powerful words are. This is how much you need to be on this topic. You need to be super conscious of it, because you can be trucking along for a few months, and you're getting closer and you're getting closer. And then one day you're all sitting at the breakfast table, all the kids, biological and non-biological, and you and your spouse, and, Johnny spills milk, and boom, out it goes, all maybe over some schoolwork or some of your papers, and out of just reaction, you're like, babe, your kid spilled the milk.
Yeah.
And you come out, and there's a biting comment, and and it's a dividing comment, and even a young child can sense that that line that just got drawn, and now months of work.
Yeah.
That you have, it's just like, okay, I'm not really his son. Well, he just referred to me as my mom's son.
Yes.
And he just, with his words, created a little gap there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, boom, big reminder. You just took months of work, and you went backwards.
Well, and think about also, if there's other kids in the home, think about what that just did in the minds of the other children sitting at the table.
Right. It's not
and
just that child.
That comment, they're like, oh, okay, so it's their family over there and we're over here. Or even instead of addressing the situation of the spilled milk, you being the non-biological parent coming to the kid and just saying, hey, Johnny, no, hey, buddy, that's okay. No worries. Rather have the non-biological parent, address the situation. Like that's another one of those small little divisions, subtle.
You mean rather than have the biological parent address it?
Yes. Yeah. And you're just waiting there, like because it's your kid, you need to address it right away. But so I think those are all of those little moments that when we say it takes a lot of work and you got to get gritty and it is exhausting sometimes, these are the things that we're talking about.
Right. You got to rein it in right there. You got to have control of your, taking that thought captive.
Yes.
If you're having a thought that might be, divisive.
Yeah.
And instead you say, no, I'm going to, in fact, that's a tender moment.
Yeah.
Because the kid is feeling vulnerable right there. The kid's feeling vulnerable. So what would it look like to then, then choose words that include him, that draw him in and even put your arm around him. Right. And then you say something like this, like, hey, buddy, you're just like me. Yeah. I spilled my milk all the time. And he's like, I'm just like you? Yeah. Like that sounds like, hey, when I was a kid like you, as though he's manifesting the behaviors that you had when you were a kid. Right. That just so pulls them into your world. And then you take a moment which could be divisive. Yeah. And you turn it into a moment where you actually grew closer.
Right. And you could maybe potentially even be dispelling any fear that he or she might be feeling, because in a blended family, I think you do feel that. You're like, I don't really know how the other parent's going to react. So that's an opportunity to step in and give grace and be inclusive. Yeah. Also include one of the other kiddos, like, hey, buddy, would you mind grabbing a towel for your brother? Yeah. And you bring that language into the moment, and everybody can be part of the moment.
Totally.
And it just brings unity. Again, we're going for unity and not division in the home. So
yeah. Well, and you had mentioned before we started, like things like not. So in that moment, talking about how a moment like that can speak volumes to even the other kids. They're hearing it. But then, so I was thinking about whole house ramifications here, whole family ramifications. Another layer out that's really interesting that is a vocabulary issue as well is even like material things, possessions, bank accounts, even the family pet. Like literally, I mean, people will come into a marriage with their stuff, right? Their stuff, their bank account, their pet, their home. And oftentimes people don't erase that language. You'll have a husband and wife in front of the kids that are still talking in terms of having like separate bank accounts and like your money. Hey, did you, I'm not paying for that. Like, are you getting the groceries this month or whatever? And there's words that get exchanged that show we're not actually a united family. Right. If you move into one of the spouse's homes and the other spouse is like referring to it as like your home. Yeah. And just non-verbally, all kinds of like little clues that this actually isn't the home of the entire family. Right. And so then the stepkids that move into that home, they're hearing like, this doesn't really sound like it's my house. Yeah. This doesn't sound like it's my mom's house. Right. And even the pet, you can have a dog or a family pet literally that's like, oh, hey, your dog or my dog, and it's like, oh, that's not the family dog. That's their dog. Right. It's crazy the little subtleties that can come out that create division and this subtle reminder of like, oh yeah, we're not a family. Yeah. We're not biological. Yes. And I, like you and I had, like when we got married, we moved into, I'm going to say your home. Yeah. But I think one of the things, now we had a little bit of a messy story, but I'm speaking specifically to when we moved in. And one of the things that you did so well of leading our home was, you know what, we're going to make this home. We added another bedroom. We did some things around there so that it brought unity to the family. And me and Joel moving into this family, God's provision,
Joel didn't feel left out or like, oh, I don't have a room or whatever, the kid might feel. And that is just sometimes you might even go that far to it. I mean, I get it. Things are expensive. You cannot always add on to your home or whatever. But sometimes those are the things that you might do. And it may seem extreme, but it's like, hey, you know what? This works for us. And we're going to add a bedroom and we're going to do whatever we need to do. And you do it. And then what causes is unity. And it just brings this closeness to the family.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something as simple as like letting the kids paint their room. I mean, we talk about this in Making the Ark a Comfortable Home, where it's like make the home feel like it's not, my stepdad's home,
right,
and my new step sibling's home,
right,
and I'm just moving in.
Yeah,
give them a sense of ownership, give them a sense of possession. Yeah, that it's like, oh, we're redoing this room for me, and it could just be as simple as a coat of paint.
Yep.
And some new bedding and stuff. It's like, this is my bedroom, like, look, I got to do this on the wall. And like all of a sudden it starts to feel like their home.
Yep.
And that's just an extension of vocabulary. It's an extension of this feeling of like unifying. And so often that's not happening.
No.
And it's subtle. It's so subtle. So everybody, even if you're killing it, everybody needs to do a gut check on this. Like, what words am I using that might be creating division inadvertently?
Right. Yes. Nope. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really interesting. Some other examples in the Bible are, as we see multiple times in the Bible, God uses names. Renaming people as a show of him that like you're mine now.
Yeah.
And so this is another example of like how words matter and how words create this sense of like you're mine.
Yeah.
He takes Jacob and renames him Israel, and he takes Saul and renames him Paul, and he takes Abram and Sarai, and he renames Peter, and that's when they become part of God's family. He uses different language with them. He uses different names, words, example. And it's this sense of possession that happens. And oh my gosh, can you imagine being renamed by God and saying, I'm giving you a new name because you're mine now? I mean, like, talk about just this emotional, incredible, impactful thing that would happen to you. You'd be like, God just renamed me to declare I'm his.
Yes, you'd be floating.
And so imagine when you start using new language like that with your stepchildren of like, kiddo, you're mine. I love you. I love you deeply. And it's just like the draw to that is powerful. So
and even referring to, dad and mom and leaving off your dad, your mom.
Exactly. And those are the subtleties.
Yeah. And that was something that we did right away in our home. And I think for us, we had, we adopted Evans. And so that kind of was something that immediately we had to, because we're like, oh, this is interesting. And so we're just, so naturally we were just like, go talk to mom, go talk to dad.
Yep.
So that just kind of for us, it was something that we were intentional about it, but also just adopting Evans, it just kind of also came naturally because we weren't like, go tell Jeff or go tell Becky.
Right.
It was just like, go talk to mom, go talk to dad. And then everybody just, just saw the inclusiveness of that. And I think it also made them feel part of the family, like just even that much more bonded. And because we had adopted and we were also a blended family. So I think it just really added to
totally
blending.
Right. And it was so important that we did that.
Yeah.
It was so important that we used the right language because you're in a really turbulent state at that point.
Yep.
Like, holy cow, we're blended, and now we have an adopted son who is very culturally different. He's from Africa, and so using words of cohesion was so important.
Yep.
You were talking about, before we got going here, you were talking about like, what if you're doing your best and the kid, your kids aren't responding?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to choose my words here, but like, I just, and because that's going to happen. I mean, we're talking about, for us, it was a lot of hours. It was a lot of work that we put into creating this culture in our home of unity. Mm-hmm. Lots of prayer, lots of conversation, lots of communication. Yeah. But, if your kids are not responding, don't freak out. Don't have a pity party. Mm. Like, you're the adult. My goodness, how many people have I heard or seen or, and I want to be sensitive. Sometimes there's situations where you're like, yeah, that's hard stuff. And
sure, it can hurt.
But still, you're still the parent. You're still the adult. This is a time where you can bring stability. You can bring just that consistency, just over and over and over, that they see like, okay, well, I might be calling them Emily and they're not freaking out. They're still loving me just equally. And so I just get so tired of, people just having this pity party, and they make it about themselves. You're the parent. Stop. Take a breath if you need to, and collect yourself, because I don't even know how to say it any other way other than you're the adult.
Yeah,
and so
you've got to be determined.
Moment, yes.
You have to be, so look, words shape reality.
Yes.
So what you speak, if you want something to come to fruition, you need to speak it into existence. In fact, God is the ultimate example of this. The ultimate quote for speaking something into reality existence is when God spoke into existence creation. He said, "Let there be light."
Yeah.
And that in those words, he spoke into existence what he wanted.
Yeah.
Now, we're not God, but we can, with our words, speak, using vocabulary, speak into existence what we want to be as reality in our home. And so therefore, to your point, as the adult, as the parent, you need to be determined and disciplined in continuing, even if you're facing opposition, even if you're facing a little blowback from your 6-year-old.
Which can happen.
Which can happen. Yes. You still keep using those words.
Be consistent.
Be consistent, and don't be so fragile, and don't be so easily defeated. These kids have been through a lot.
Yes.
These kids have been through a lot of turbulence and a lot of drama and a lot of emotional damage. My goodness, if they don't instantly respond to your words of ownership and closeness, well, what do you expect? Like they're going to take some time. So you have to be determined to continue to speak into existence what you want to be reality, and don't be offended and don't be put off. Keep using the right vocabulary in your home.
Right. And and keep your emotions in check. If you're finding yourself getting to a place of just high emotion, time out, go to the Lord and pray and ask him to help you in that moment, give you the strength, give you the words, give you clarity. And if there's any negative thoughts there, rebuke them in the name of Jesus, because that's just unhealthy. That's going to create division.
Yeah.
So stop yourself before you regret saying something that you don't mean, or, kids just pick up on all kinds of things. They're not... Man. They're intelligent little beings.
Just a word, just a single phrase can shatter and rupture what you have worked for months and months and months.
As well as body language, all of it. Just stop and take a breath. Ask the Lord to help you.
Yeah. On that, really on that, as far as just a word, and this is an area that is... that can, I don't think it's discouraging, but I think it's an area you have to pay attention to, or you can take some steps backwards. And that is the area of extended family and the words that they're using.
Oh my gosh.
When all the kids go over to grandma's house and she's talking about the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that is something that we have, when mentoring, that has been something that has been a hardship for a lot of blended families, and it breaks my heart seeing that, because that, I think that just means that maybe there's also conversations that are not coming from you as the blended family, and just saying, I mean, we have seen things like, hey, we're going to take the biological, how would you say it, biological grandkids on vacation and not the other kiddos. That breaks my heart into a million pieces. It breaks my heart. And so that is something that is just so corrosive. It will break down any progress that has been made in the home, just like that. And so that is something that you want to grab hold of immediately and sit down and have that conversation with your spouse first and say, hey, I feel like there's a conversation that we need to have, or maybe you need to have, or you need to have with your parents.
With your extended family.
With your extended family. Sorry, yes. Your extended family, about what's happening here. There is two different kinds of fairness going on or unfairness going on, and that's just not okay, because it gets brought home, the kids feel it, then they don't feel part of the family, like, oh, okay, so I guess maybe they're not my grandparents too. I don't know. So much confusion, and it just is so sad. So have the confidence to have that conversation with your parents about what you're seeing, because that is just really toxic.
Yeah, and even beyond parents, it should be extended. I'm like extended family, like aunts, uncles.
I'm like parked on the parents. Yes, extended
I mean, it's like
family.
Anybody your kids are spending time with can erode the progress that you've made with the words they're using. Well, and honestly, it's like this is one of the most dangerous minefields of wrong vocabulary is out on those fringes, because, and to their credit, these be an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent, they're not in the thick of this with you every day. So they might just inadvertently and unintentionally be using language that's like your kid, or however they might express division, your mom, and treating the biological kids differently. Yeah. But man, there's some powerful undermining that can happen there as the extended family.
Take hold of that right away, because I think that's just really going to work for the unity of your family.
And it's as simple as just having, like you were saying, having a conversation with them and asking them. Yeah. Just tell them, like, guys, we're trying to build the most unified family we can. Yeah. Our goal is to look completely biological, and we need you guys to get on board with that. Yeah. It's like, we're not, grandparents, you're not, if you get a birthday present for the biological kids, you need to get birthday presents for the new kids too.
Or Christmas, one kid gets a more expensive gift, and the other one you can just tell that it's not, you're like, whoa.
Right. Okay. Spoiling the biological grandkid, but the new grandkid that the grandparent has inherited, gets, socks.
Yeah. Well, and I would, one last thing I would say to this point is, if they are not receiving that, and they are not respecting you, then it may be that the conversation moves to, well, if you guys are not going to reinforce and you're not on board, well, then you may not get to see the kiddos as much as you'd like to, or maybe even at all for a season, because that's not okay. Yeah. Like, we are one family here.
You cannot work against the family we're trying to build. Yeah. If you're not on board with that, then I mean, you'd have to be like, well, then we're going to have to spend time, all of us together. Right. Or, instead of them alone. I mean, they really, it's that critical. Yeah. They cannot be undermining. Yep. They cannot be undermining the work you're doing, because, man, the mind of a child can be so quickly shaped with a few comments, and it doesn't just have to be from the parents. It can be from the extended family. So super critical to get everybody on board. Yep. And, just as an encouragement to everyone, it's never too late. No. It's never too late. You could have a blended family for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and maybe you've been using the wrong language. But you know what? You can start today. Yeah. We have, back to our example of how Christ and the Lord uses language of ownership with us when he takes us in. Yep. We've maybe lived 30 years not knowing the Lord. And in a moment, he saves you. He makes you part of his family, and he starts using new language, and you start feeling included. Yep. And so it's never too late.
Nope.